There's something really cool about starting a game as a total nobody and slowly becoming a legend. Today, we're looking at some of the best single-player RPGs where you go from a regular person to someone seriously powerful. These games make you feel like you earned every bit of your story, and that's what makes them so awesome. Let's check them out. Kingdom Come: Deliverance. Kingdom Come: Deliverance is one of those rare RPGs where you really feel like a nobody. Like actually useless in the beginning, not in a fake way where the game says you're weak but you're somehow already slaying monsters. No, this game straight up humbles you. You start as Henry, a simple blacksmith's son, and let me tell you, Henry's got nothing going for him at first. He can't read, he can't fight, he doesn't know how to shoot a bow, and he gets tired just from running a short distance. And the world around him really doesn't give a crap. NPCs just treat you like another dumb peasant.
Tartars, you say? Well, we'll deal with that later. First, let's have a look at that leg of yours.
The game takes place in a super realistic medieval Bohemia. No magic, no dragons, just dirt, steel, and politics. And what's wild is how it leans hard into realism. Like, you can't even save the game unless you drink a special potion or sleep in a bed. It's that kind of vibe. But that's also what makes the whole rags to respect journey so powerful. When your hometown gets wiped out in the first hour and your parents get brutally murdered, it's not just some background lore. You feel it. Henry is broken, scared, running for his life. That's your starting point. You're not the Dragonborn. You're just a traumatized dude with no armor and no clue what to do next. And from there, the game doesn't rush anything. If you want to be good at sword fighting, you don't just equip a better weapon, you have to actually learn the combos. There's real training, real timing, same with lockpicking, reading, even hunting. The world doesn't just hand you experience points for breathing, it makes you work for everything. And yeah, it can feel kind of frustrating early on, but man, when it clicks, it's one of the most rewarding feelings. That first time you win a duel without button mashing, it feels amazing. That moment you finally read a book for the first time after paying for lessons like a broke student? Yep, that's some real Middle Ages peasant satisfaction.
You're a clever lad. You'll manage.
You slowly gain people's respect, you meet lords, you join missions, you get better gear, more choices, more influence, but it never feels like you're suddenly a superhero. Henry's still awkward sometimes, he still doubts himself, the writing keeps him grounded, and that makes it even better, honestly, because his journey mirrors what a real person would go through. It's not about destiny, it's about growth.
I'd rather find that horseman who murdered my parents. Get the sword back from him.
So yeah, if you're looking for that kind of RPG where you start from the dirt, not just story-wise, but gameplay-wise too, Kingdom Come absolutely nails it. It's slow, it's unforgiving, but it's real, and by the end when you look back and realize how far Henry's come, it just hits different. You remember being that useless kid who got beat up for stealing apples, and now you're rolling with knights, solving mysteries, shaping events. Fallout New Vegas. Let's get into Fallout New Vegas, one of the most iconic start-from-nothing RPGs out there, but with a twist. Because yeah, you're not exactly a farmer or a random villager this time, you're a courier, just a mailman. No fame, no power, nothing fancy, and your first big moment? You get shot in the head and left for dead in a shallow grave. That's how this thing starts. And from there, you're patched up by a desert doctor and shoved out into the wasteland with barely a gun and some bandages. No special training, no chosen one storyline, nobody owes you anything. It's just you, a rough map, and the Mojave Desert staring you down. And that's what makes New Vegas so damn good at this nobody to somebody thing. The world doesn't revolve around you. Until you make it. You decide what kind of person you want to be. Want to be a smooth-talking gambler who manipulates everyone? You can. Want to be a brutal merc who solves every problem with a shotgun? Totally fine. Want to just ignore the main factions and do your own thing, blaze your own path? The game lets you. And none of that is handed to you on a silver plate. You gotta work for it. Talk to people, scavenge gear, fight off raiders, get tangled up in the politics between the NCR, Caesar's Legion, and Mr. House. And the craziest part? You can actually end up running New Vegas yourself if you play your cards right. That's the real magic of this game. You go from of being just some dude who almost died in a ditch to basically deciding the fate of the entire region. That's a serious glow up. But it's not just about power, it's about freedom. You don't have to be a hero, or a villain, or a leader. You could just be a drifter, a wanderer. Do some side quests, make some caps, help some folks, hurt others. It's all up to you. The game doesn't force you into a role, it just drops you into the dirt and says, alright, figure it out. And that's what makes the whole journey so personal. Your version of the courier might be totally different from someone else's. Maybe you helped the NCR bring order. Maybe you sided with Caesar's Legion and ruled with an iron fist. Maybe you flipped the table on both and took over for yourself. But whatever you chose, you made it happen. You started with nothing. No title, no money, no respect, just a bullet in your brain and a will to survive. Fallout New Vegas doesn't hold your hand. It gives you a beat-up world full of messed up people and says, go make something of yourself. And if you do, if you climb your way to the top, reshape the Mojave, and leave your mark, you earn that. All of it. Gothic. Gothic is like the definition of you're a nobody, deal with it. This game doesn't care about your feelings, it doesn't hype you up, it just throws you into a brutal prison colony and basically tells you to survive or die. You play as the nameless hero, and yet the game doesn't even give you a real name. That's how little you matter at the start. You're literally tossed into this giant magic prison, this walled off chunk of land full of convicts, scavengers, thugs, and monsters. No one explains anything, no one helps you, and you're not special. You're not a chosen one. You're just another loser dropped in to rot with the rest. And here's the thing, everybody treats you like garbage at first. You walk into a camp, try to talk to someone, and they'll straight up insult you or punch you in the face. There's no welcome to the quest moment. You have to earn every bit of respect by grinding, fighting, learning who to trust, doing dirty jobs, and slowly, very slowly, building yourself up. The early game is rough. Wolves kill you, bandits kill you, fall off a cliff, dead. It's trial by fire. But that's also what makes Gothic so addictive, because once you get the hang of it, once you manage to join a faction, get some real armor, start wielding a sword without looking like a drunk guy swinging a stick, it feels earned, like deeply earned.
The barrier will finally stop you.
The game world reacts to you as you grow. You start to notice that people who mocked you before now respect you. Some fear you. Some want to work with you. You're not the weakling who got slapped around anymore. You've carved out your place in this broken system. And that's a big deal because in Gothic, respect is currency. You can't just level up and brute force your way through everything. You have to understand the politics, learn the power dynamics between the old camp, new camp, and the sect camp, and figure out where you belong. The story starts small too, just trying to survive, get noticed, join a group, but eventually it snowballs into something much bigger. Magic, ancient ruins, sleeping gods, and somehow this nameless nobody from the dirt ends up being the one who has to face all of it. Not because he was destined to, but because he made himself ready. And what's cool is that Gothic doesn't spoon feed you any of this. There are no big glowing quest markers, no friendly NPCs explaining the world in detail. You just explore, screw up, get beat down, and slowly, painfully slowly figure things out. It's one of the most honest RPGs when it comes to showing real progression. Not just stats or loot, but respect, reputation, power that feels real because you had to crawl through the mud to get it. So yeah, Gothic might be old and a little janky, but it's one of the rawest, most hardcore zero to hero journeys you'll ever play. If you want a game that doesn't care who you are and forces you to become someone through struggle, this one's a classic. The Risen. Alright, let's talk Ryen, which honestly feels like a spiritual cousin to Gothic, and for good reason. It's made by the same devs, Piranha Bytes. So if you've played Gothic before, Ryen is gonna feel super familiar, but even if you haven't, Ryen is still one of the best examples of that start from nothing RPG formula. Like, it literally drops you on a beach with nothing but your fists in a tattered shirt. No joke, you wash up after a shipwreck and boom, that's it. Welcome to the island, figure it out. And man, the world does not roll out the red carpet for you. Just like Gothic, Ryen throws you into a tough world with no handholding. You're not a warrior, you're not a mage, you're not even an apprentice. You're just some nameless castaway. Nobody knows you, nobody cares, and most people talk down to you or try to use you for their own gain. And yeah, early game is rough. Even fighting a wild boar can kill you if you're not careful. Every scrap of food, every rusty weapon, every gold coin, you have to fight for it. But that's the magic of it, right? You feel that progression. You're not just leveling up, you're surviving, and little by little you start to become someone. You pick a faction either side with the Daunt's Rebels or join the Inquisition in their strict order. You learn new skills, get real weapons, explore ancient temples, and start unlocking powers that make you feel like, yeah, okay, I can handle this now. What's cool is that the game is super open-ended, especially early on. You can explore the island, talk to whoever, sneak into places you're not supposed to be, and really shape your journey. There's no giant arrow telling you exactly what to do. It's up to you to pay attention, ask around, and figure out where to go. And that makes every small win feel huge. You remember where you came from. Just some guy who washed up with nothing, and now you're walking around with real armor, casting magic, unlocking ancient secrets buried in the island.
Let's finish that.
The story itself also grows with you. It starts small, doing odd jobs, helping people out, getting a feel for the power struggle on the island. But as you dig deeper, you get pulled into something much bigger, with ancient gods, buried ruins, and a whole bunch of stuff that ties into the bigger Piranha Bytes world. But what makes it stick is that you made that journey. The game doesn't force you down a path, it just gives you a broken world and says, alright, make something of yourself. And that's what Ryen does best. It makes you earn everything. You're not spoon-fed power or story. You work your way up, pick your role, and become a somebody through effort, smart choices, and let's be real, a bunch of getting your ass kicked early on. Outward. Now we gotta talk about Outward, one of the most brutally honest RPGs when it comes to making you feel like a nobody. Like, this game doesn't just make you weak at the start, it keeps you weak for a good chunk of the game, but not in a bad way, more like in a, yo, you're just a regular person trying to survive kind of way. And that's what makes it so damn unique. So right off the bat, you're not a hero, you're not the chosen one, you're not blessed by some ancient prophecy, nah. You're just a broke villager who wakes up in debt. Like, the game literally starts with your community telling you, hey, pay your blood price or we're taking your house. No dramatic intro, no monsters attacking a city, just rent. And that's honestly kind of genius. You start with nothing. Basic clothes, maybe a worn out sword, no real money, and definitely no clue what you're doing. The combat? It's clunky and slow, not because the devs messed up, but because that's the point. You're not a trained warrior, you're just some guy or girl swinging a weapon for the first time. Magic? You can learn it, sure, but it takes time, resources, and a real commitment. Like, you literally have to go on a pilgrimage just to unlock your first spells. The process. And don't even get me started on survival. This game leans hard into that. You have to eat, drink, sleep, stay warm, avoid diseases, treat wounds. It's a full-on survival sim baked into an RPG. You're not out here saving kingdoms, you're just trying to not die from cold weather or a random infection, and that adds so much to the feeling of being a nobody. The world is huge, dangerous, and doesn't care about you, but you push on anyway. What's really cool about Outward is how little it holds your hand. There's no compass with giant markers, no go here to win objective. You actually have to learn the land, use maps, recognize landmarks, remember paths, and when you finally start figuring things out, when you survive your first dungeon, craft your own gear, or win a hard fight through smart thinking instead of just brute force, feels amazing, because again, nothing is handed to you, you build it, step by step. And the game keeps that grounded vibe all the way through. Even late game, you're not some god-level power fantasy, you're still a scrappy adventurer, more experienced, more prepared, sure, but still vulnerable, and somehow that makes the world feel way more real. Like every win is earned, every journey matters. You remember when a wolf nearly killed you near your hometown? Now you're deep in the desert solving ancient mysteries, dealing with powerful factions, but you never forget where you started. Greedfall. Now here in Greedfall, which does the nobody to somebody thing a bit differently. It's not about being dirt poor or powerless in the beginning, but more about being a total outsider. Someone who steps into a brand new land with no roots, no status there, and has to build their way into influence. And it does a surprisingly good job of making that journey feel personal. So in Greedfall, you play as Desardet, a noble from a big dying city who's sent to this mysterious island called Tirfradi. And yeah, while you're technically a diplomat and you look all fancy with a feathered hat, don't get it twisted, you're not respected on this island, you're not powerful yet, you're just some outsider showing up to a land full of deep cultures, ancient magic, and political tension. And nobody there really trusts you. What makes it interesting is how you are the stranger here. The native tribes don't know you. The different factions, like the religious fanatics, the science guilds, the merchants, they all have their own agendas, and you're caught right in the middle of all of it. You don't start as a leader. You don't have loyal armies or legendary powers. You start with a mission, some basic skills, and that's it. From there, it's up to you to decide how you climb up. And that's where Greedfall shines. You build your influence through choices, not just combat. Do you help the island's natives or exploit them? Do you back the science faction or challenge their cold logical methods? Do you take the religious path or expose their lies? Every major decision shapes how people see you. And eventually, you're not just a visitor anymore, you're a real power player. But again, you make that happen. You don't just show up and instantly become king. You work your way there through diplomacy, combat, trust building, and sometimes backstabbing.
I'm here. Pull yourself together. We didn't want this fight.
Now, the combat system isn't super deep, but it's solid. A mix of swordplay, guns, and magic. But again, the real power in Greedfall isn't just in how you fight, it's in how you lead, how you talk, how you build relationships. You've got companions with their own stories, and they react to your choices. They'll leave you if you push too far in one direction. You've got to earn their trust too. By the time you reach the later parts of the game, you're not that unknown diplomat anymore. You're someone with real influence, respected or feared by tribes and nations alike. You're dealing with ancient gods, forbidden secrets, and massive power struggles. But it doesn't feel random. It feels like a natural climb from a curious outsider to a central figure in a whole world's future. So yeah, Greedfall doesn't start you off starving in a ditch, but it absolutely fits that underdog theme. You're the new face in a world full of ancient traditions and messy politics, and somehow, through smart moves and tough choices, you rise from nobody to the person everyone looks to when things go sideways. It's not about power fantasy, it's about carving a path, building trust, and becoming somebody because of how you play the game. Elix. This one takes the whole nobody to somebody idea and throws it into a sci-fi blender with post-apocalyptic vibes, jetpacks, and mutants, and somehow it works. So yeah, this is another one from Piranha Bytes, same folks behind Gothic and Ryen, so you already know what that means. You start off weak, broke, and nobody gives a crap about you. Classic. You play as Jax, a former elite commander from a high-tech faction called the Owls. But at the very start of the game, you've been betrayed, shot down, stripped of your armor, and left for dead. Your fancy powers? Gone. Your squad? Gone. Your rank, your respect, your gear? All gone. So now, you're just this dude in rags stumbling out of a wrecked pod, trying to survive in a brutal world that would rather kill you than say hi. The world of Elix is wild, by the way. It's this weird but kinda awesome mashup of sci-fi, medieval fantasy, and Mad Max Max wasteland. One minute you're swinging a sword, the next you're shooting a plasma rifle, and no matter where you go, people treat you like you're nothing, just another desperate guy trying to stay alive.
He's right. The clerics are plotting something, and we need to put our foot right through whatever the fuck it is.
This isn't your decision.
You really shouldn't talk that nasty like that. Am I getting my information or what?
But that's what makes Elix kinda cool. You start at rock bottom, you've got a stick and a dream, and the world is huge, dangerous, and totally unbalanced. Early game is rough. You'll die, a lot. Wild animals will mess you up, bandits will two-shot you, even getting from one town to another can feel like a survival run. But the more you play, the more you start to claw your way back. And the game gives you total freedom. You can join one of 3 totally different factions: the Berserkers, who use magic and nature stuff, the Outlaws, who are basically Mad Max Raiders with flamethrowers, or the Clerics, who use high-tech weapons and worship a machine god. Each one gives you different skills, weapons, and a new place to belong, but none of them trust you at first. You've got to prove yourself all over again.
Comes in our path. We bow to no one.
Combat. It's not just about combat either. There's dialogue choices, relationships, reputation. People remember what you do, and depending on how you act, Jax can either try to regain his humanity or go full ruthless and become something darker. The choices really shape the story, especially as you try to figure out who betrayed you and what the heck is going on with all the factions fighting over this weird energy source called Elix. But here's what makes it really hit. You feel the progression. Like, you remember getting beat up by a rat 10 hours ago, and now you're flying around with a jetpack wrecking robots with a laser sword. That glow up is real. You start as a nobody with no friends, no gear, no power, and by the end you're shaping the fate of the whole damn world, and it feels earned. Not because the game handed it to you, but because you pushed through the pain, figured stuff out, and got stronger. Now yeah, Elix is janky, it's rough around the edges, the animations are stiff and the writing can be hit or miss, but if you like underdog RPGs where survival is part of the journey, where rising to power actually feels like a grind, this game nails that feeling. It's not polished, but it's got that raw, gritty vibe that makes the journey feel personal. Divinity Original Sin 2.
We must fight for the future of our world.
There's a big
Now we're jumping into Divinity Original Sin 2, which takes the whole nobody to somebody idea and wraps it in one of the deepest, most reactive RPG systems out there. But here's the thing, this game doesn't just start you off powerless, it starts you off hated, like straight up prisoner with a magic muzzle on, dragged to an island where people get cured of their powers, like it's some kind of magical prison camp. So yeah, your life sucks at the start. It plays a Sourcer, someone who can use source magic, which in this world is seen as dangerous. Dangerous enough that the Divine Order, the big scary authority group, rounds up source users, throws them on boats, and dumps them on a cursed island called Fort Joy. And that's where you begin. You're in chains, you've got no gear, your powers are shut down, everyone around you either wants to kill you, use you, or just flat out doesn't trust you. The game doesn't pretend you're special, it says, hey, you're a problem, and you're gonna have to fight your way out of this.
Good. Magister Williams is just about done with the last passenger.
And what makes it so powerful is that you really do feel like a nobody at the start. You're just trying to escape, trying to survive. You don't even know who to trust. And yet you've got potential. Everyone knows you might become a god one day, but early on, you can barely beat a crab on the beach. You're weak, confused, and trapped in a system that wants you erased. But then the game starts to open up. You find a little gear, you build a party, you start unlocking new abilities and combos, and slowly you go from being this forgotten prisoner to someone the world starts whispering about. You start messing with fate. You get into battles where you outthink enemies with crazy tactics, teleporting them into fire, electrifying puddles, summoning monsters mid-fight, and suddenly you're not some random mage anymore. You're a freaking force now. And the thing that really makes Divinity 2 hit is how much it reacts to what you do. The choices aren't just flavor text. They change the world, the characters, the relationships. You choose how to treat your companions, you decide who lives, who dies, which gods you trust, and what kind of legacy you leave behind. It's not just about becoming stronger, it's about deciding who you're going to be now that you finally have that power. By the end of the game, you're not just somebody, you're a god, literally. You reshape the world, but the journey to get there, it's tough. It's full of betrayal, heartbreak, impossible choices. You started as a prisoner in a collar, being bossed around by guards. Now, you're rewriting destiny. That climb is what makes the whole experience so satisfying.
Are being hunted, and with good reason. One of us will ascend.
And what's crazy is that every character in your party, whether you create your own or use the origin characters like Los, Sabil, or the Red Prince, they all start as nobodies too. Cast out, broken, hunted, and you get to guide them through their own redemption arc, or destruction arc, depending on how you play. So yeah, Divinity Original Sin 2 might look like a classic fantasy game, but it's got one of the strongest nobody to god tier arcs in RPG history. It doesn't hand you anything, you start at rock bottom, but if you stick with it, make smart choices, and fight your way through this brutal, beautiful world, you rise. And that rise feels earned. Mount and Blade Warband. This one is like the ultimate from nothing to legend simulator. No cutscenes, no fancy story, no magical destiny, just you, a random dude or girl with a rusty sword, a horse, and a whole medieval sandbox to mess with. And that's what makes Warband so addicting, because it doesn't tell you who you are, it lets you become whoever you want. You start off as a total nobody. No army, no land, no title, not even decent gear. You pick your backstory, maybe you were a peasant, maybe a noble's kid, maybe a street urchin, but none of that really matters in the long run, because no matter what, the second you spawn into Calradia, the game looks at you and goes, cool, now prove yourself. And man, the early game is rough. You'll get jumped by bandits, your one horse might get stolen, and if you try to fight a lord's army with your ragtag crew of farmers, yeah, good luck. But this is what makes the game so special. You feel the grind. You're scraping together coins from caravan jobs, looting bandit camps, hiring a couple hungry guys at a tavern, just trying to survive the chaos. But then, things start clicking. You win a few fights, you build a small squad, you train your men, buy some real gear, get your first taste of leadership, and once you start rolling with 20, then 50, then 100 troops, suddenly you're not running from fights anymore. You are the fight. You go from hiding behind trees to leading full-blown battles with cavalry charges and siege towers crashing through castle walls. And that transition feels earned every step of the way. The best part? You get to choose your path. Want to be a mercenary for a kingdom? Go for it. Want to suck up to nobles and marry into royalty? That's on the table. Want to betray everyone, start your own kingdom, and declare yourself king or queen? You can absolutely do that, and it's not some scripted power trip either. You have to earn it. You need loyal vassals, strong armies, good strategy. You need to manage politics, keep your people fed, and actually hold the land you take. Because yeah, in Warband, everybody's gunning for power, and if you slip, someone else will take it from you. What makes it hit so hard is how personal the journey becomes. You remember the names of your companions, the villages you saved, the battles you barely survived. There's no big narrator telling you what a legend you are, but when you ride across the map with your banner waving, 200 troops behind you, and enemy lords running from your name, yeah, you feel it. You became somebody. Stalker's Shadow of Chernobyl. This isn't your usual RPG setup. It's gritty, weird, brutal, and honestly kind of depressing, but in the best way. Because this game makes you feel like a nobody, not just in terms of power, but in terms of identity. You literally wake up not even knowing who you are. That's right. You start the game as the Marked One, a dude with full-blown amnesia who gets pulled out of a wrecked truck in the middle of the zone, barely alive. You've got one goal in your PDA, kill Strelok. You don't know why, you don't know who Strelok even is, and you've got no gear, no friends, and no clue what the hell is going on. It's such a cold, lonely intro, and it sets the tone for the whole experience. The world of Stalker is this messed up alternate version of the Chernobyl exclusion zone, but it's not just abandoned buildings and radiation, it's a total nightmare. Mutants, rogue military groups, weird reality warping anomalies, and a bunch of desperate scavengers all fighting over scraps, all trying to survive, and you're just some guy with a cheap pistol and a bandage wandering through it. It's early on, you're weak, like super weak. Ammo is scarce, guns jam constantly, medkits are limited, and every fight feels like it could be your last. You might get gunned down by a random bandit or eaten by something with 6 arms and no eyes. The zone doesn't care about you. It doesn't want to help you, and that's what makes your rise so satisfying. You slowly build yourself up. You start doing jobs for sketchy traders, scavenging weapons from fallen enemies, exploring dangerous ruins to find valuable artifacts. You start learning how to avoid anomalies, how to sneak past enemies, how to manage your weight limit so you don't die from carrying too much junk. You learn survival the hard way, by dying over and over and getting smarter each time. And as you push deeper into the zone, the mystery of who you are starts to unravel. You find clues, old messages, and eventually learn that you're tied to the very heart of what's going wrong here. But what's brilliant is that even as the story gets deeper and more sci-fi, you still feel like you're just barely surviving. It's not a game where you suddenly become a god with superpowers. You're always just a guy with a gun, trying to stay alive in a world that hates you. And man, the atmosphere. It's unreal. Creeping through abandoned labs with flickering lights and mutant screams echoing in the distance, absolute tension. Every step feels risky. Every decision, fight or run, explore or retreat, feels important. And when you finally get better gear, maybe a proper rifle, some armor that can take a hit, a little stash of supplies you earned by risking your life, it feels earned. You remember when you got bodied by a stray dog with no bullets left? Now you're navigating psychic storms and taking down military squads. It's a full-on glow up, just without any fanfare. Just you standing in the rain, alive. War Tales. You don't play as a hero here, you don't even play as a single person, you manage a band of nobodies. Could be farmers, escaped prisoners, deserters, regular folks turn to the sword because the world's falling apart and they've got bills to pay. There's no magic, no superpowers, just hard choices, cold nights, and a lot of blood. From the very beginning, everything is stacked against you. You're broke, underfed, and surrounded by bandits who are just as desperate as you are. Your weapons suck, your armor's falling apart, and your people will straight up leave if you don't pay them. They can get depressed, injured, exhausted. It's not about grinding XP, it's about keeping your people alive and slowly turning this ragtag crew into a real mercenary company. Combat is turn-based and tactical, and it's brutal. Positioning matters, backstabbing matters, morale swings the tide. If one of your guys dies, that's it. They're gone. You feel the pain of losing someone you've kept alive for hours of playtime, but if they survive, if they rank up and you equip them with gear you looted off some rich noble you ambushed on the road, that's the payoff. That's your win.
Sink everything in aircraft. No one's been able to stop them.
And it's not just about battle, you have to manage everything. Food, wages, injuries, crafting, camping, even taxes and legal papers depending on where you go. You can be honorable and follow the law, or you can rob traders, smuggle goods, and live dirty. The game lets you choose how to survive. Are you a noble sellsword group, or a straight up criminal gang barely scraping by?
Fight back.
What weapons must we build to reclaim our...
The world itself is dark and messy. It's medieval, but not romanticized. It feels like a world after the collapse. Kingdoms are falling apart, corruption is everywhere, and people are just trying to make it through the day. There's no grand destiny, just rumors of treasure, jobs from desperate townsfolk, and a lot of morally gray choices. And what's cool is that as you get stronger, it's not just about better stats. Your crew becomes known. Towns start reacting to you differently. You take on bigger contracts, maybe even influence regions politically. You go from scavengers and vagrants to respected mercs or feared raiders, and there's no big you did it cutscene. It's a slow, gritty rise where your reputation and your gear tell the story. You remember when you had to share one piece of armor between two guys? Now your archers in custom mail, taking heads from across the field. Kenshi. Now this is peak you are nobody and the world does not care. Like, this game doesn't just start you as weak, it straight up starts you as pathetic. And I mean that if you ever wanted to play an RPG where survival is a daily miracle and becoming somebody actually takes dozens of hours of grinding, hustling, and eating dirt, Kenshi is your game. You don't start as a hero, or a soldier, or even a mercenary. You start as some skinny dude in rags with a stick. You can't fight, you can't cook, you can't run very fast, you can't carry much. You're literally the guy who dies in the background of other people's stories. And the game is like, cool, but here's a giant open world, figure it out. That world, absolutely brutal. You can get jumped by starving bandits 5 minutes in. Slavers will chain you up and sell you off. Cannibals will eat you. And the scary part? That's not even a bug or special quest. That's just the normal game. The entire world is hostile. You are not important. You're not on a grand quest to save anything. You just exist. And that's why Kenshi is so special. But here's the magic. The game gives you complete freedom. No story rails, no objectives. You want to be a farmer in the desert? Do it. A one-armed thief sneaking through enemy cities? Totally possible. Build your own town, join a faction, become a slaver or a slaver hunter, recruit an army, or wander alone as a broken survivor. It's all open-ended. It's your sandbox. And the growth? Man, it's slow. But that makes it real. If you want to get better at sword fighting, you don't just level up, you have to fight over and over. And yeah, you'll lose most of those fights early on, but every time you get beat down, you're learning, your stats go up, you heal, you come back stronger. Even crawling away from a battle with one leg broken, that's progress in Kenshi. You recruit people, you train them, build a little squad, then maybe you start mining, selling iron, making armor. Eventually you build a base, maybe now you can defend yourself from bandit raids, maybe now you're the one hunting them, and slowly, very slowly, you go from being just another nobody with a busted leg and no food to the leader of a squad rolling deep in custom armor, taking down entire armies. There's no fanfare, no level up screen with fireworks, but you'll remember the first time you took out a group of bandits without getting knocked out. The first time you survived a battle without losing a limb. The first time your farm made enough money to stop eating rotten bread. Those little wins, they feel massive because you earned them the hard way. So yeah, Kenshi isn't flashy, it's not cinematic, it's rough, janky, and completely unforgiving. But if you want an RPG where you start from absolutely nothing, not even a name anyone cares about, and slowly build your own legend from scratch, this game does it like no other.
Whoa, easy there, easy. You've been out cold a couple of days now.